let's take a look at how the Senate confirmation hearing for the replacement for Kristi Noem is doing, huh? Markwayne Mullin.
I think before I can start my opening statement, I have to address the remarks that the chairman made, calling me a liar. Sir, I think everybody in this room knows that I'm very blunt and direct to the point, and if I have something to say, I'll say it directly to your face. If you recall, back in my House days, we actually did have this conversation because of the remarks that I made. You were in a room.
This guy's 5'4", by the way. I could tell when he said, "I'm a very blunt person. I say stuff to your face." You know, it's kind of like a spiritually 5'4" statement.
I simply addressed that I said I could understand because of the behavior you were having, that I could understand why the neighbor did what he did. As far as my terms of the snake in the grass, sir, I work around this room to try to fix problems. I've worked with many people in this room.
Oh yeah, Rand Paul's neighbor some time ago beat the shit out of him. It was a whole thing. And our boy over here, Mullin, in what must be the only correct thing he's ever said, basically said, yeah, I could see why someone would do that. Which is pretty funny, but also kind of crazy to do when you're trying to be the head of the Department of Homeland Security.
Seems like you fight Republicans more than you work with us. I did address those remarks. I did explain your gimmicks by the amendment you put forth. And as far as me saying that I invoke violence, I don't. I don't think anybody should be hit by surprise. I don't like that. But if I do have something to say, everybody in this room knows I'll come straight to you. I'll say it publicly and I'll say it privately, but I'll never say it behind your back. So for you to say, I'm a liar, sir, that's not accurate. And I got proof to say that because you have spent millions of dollars in my campaigns against me because we just don't get along. However, sir, that doesn't keep me at all from doing my job. I can have different opinions with everybody in this room, but as Secretary of Homeland, I'll be protecting everybody, including Kentucky, as much as I will my own backyard in Oklahoma. It's bigger than the partisan bickering that we have. It's bigger than the political differences.
Why does he talk like a high schooler? Imperial decline. First, the people. The whole point of a political elite is that they're supposed to be better than the peasantry. We've kind of done away with that. You know, the average American has always been subliterate, but back in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, you could rely on people from both parties to have been from the upper crust of the general pop. You know, for the most part, that's totally fucking gone now. Probably social media's fault.
As we have.
You oversimplify. I disagree. I actually explained the entire issue succinctly in 2 sentences. The whole topic of how politicians have intellectually and communicatively degraded over the past half century. I summed it all up, and there's nothing more to say.
The truth is, I have a job to do, and I don't like to fail at anything at all. So I can set it aside if you're willing to set it aside. Let me earn your respect.
Is Vosh being elitist? I'm absolutely an elitist. Anyone who takes politics seriously understands that the average person is wretched and incapable of, I mean, they can barely manage their own lives. Obviously, if you're going to have people lead a country, they need to be the best of the best. Like, that's just, that's not even like a capitalism or a democracy thing. That's literally any system. You don't want the average person. You want an elite who represents the average person's interests. And there are ways that you can do that. You can incentivize that. But God, fuck no. Have you talked to an average person? Have you seen an average person? Holy shit, absolutely not. Jesus Christ. Of course I'm an elitist.
Job. I won't fail you. I won't back down from a challenge. And I'll also admit when I'm wrong. I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be perfect. I make mistakes just like anybody else. But mistakes, if you own them, you can learn from them and you can move ahead. And I'll make that commitment to you.
Phenomenal.
I simply addressed that I said I could understand because of the behavior you were having, that I could understand why the neighbor did what he did. I simply addressed.
I know we've all seen this before, but I feel I have to go back to when he tried to fight the Teamster leader. We have to go back to that. We can't not.
Everybody knows this here. And the last time, him and I kind of had a back and forth. Appreciate your demeanor today. It's quite different. But after you left here, you got pretty excited about the keyboard.
Run it back.
Tweeted at me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And let me read what the last one said. It said, greedy CEO who pretends like he's self-made. Sir, I wish you was in the truck with me when I was building my plumbing company. Myself and my wife was running the office because I sure remember working pretty hard and long hours. Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown. Fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy.
Are you saying that only people with education from elite universities are fit to govern? No, that's what you imagined in your head. I don't recall saying anything like that. I said the elite, as in people who are better than other people. I didn't refer to like, did I say like you needed to have $1 million in your bank account? I mean, what definition of elite do you think I'm working with? Because I think a person in good faith could understand I'm referring to somebody who's just broadly better than the average person, not a person who has a shinier credentialization.
Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big guy.
Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution every
Hold it. No, sit down. Sit down.
Look at you.
You know, you're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Oh, okay.
Sit down, please.
All right.
Can I respond, Mr.
Hold
Chairman?
it. Hold it. If
Hold
we
on.
can't, no,
This is
I have
what
the
he
mic.
said.
I'm sorry.
This is
Hold
what
it.
he said.
You'll have your time.
Okay.
Can I respond?
Oh, no, you can't. This is a hearing. And God knows the American people have enough of contempt for Congress. Let's not
I don't
make
like
it worse.
thugs and bullies.
You have,
And that's
you
what-
have
I don't like you, because you
Hold
just
it.
described yourself.
Hold it. You have the mic.
Yeah.
You have time.
All right.
Make your statement.
Someone earlier pointed out that Markwayne Mullin might actually be the most elite man from Oklahoma, and that's a good point that I hadn't considered. It's very possible he's the best they have to offer. How is it going? DHS pick Mullin says he regrets calling Alex Preddy a deranged individual. That's cool. That's cool. Well, I'm happy to hear he regrets it. Is Oklahoma the worst state in the union? I think there's a pretty good case to be made for that. Yeah, I think so. Unlike other really bad states like, say, Louisiana or Mississippi, it has no authentic local culture. So it's not just how much bad there is. It's also there's no good to balance it out. He defended legal dueling in the hearing.
In the days after the fight, you did many interviews in which you justified the violence as historically justified by precedents, such as caning and dueling. Is it today your opinion that the caning of Charles Sumner was not only justified, but argues still for resolving our political differences with violence?
What I was simply pointing out is some of the rules that still apply to this.
A member of the Cherokee Nation, Mullin is the first Native American U.S. Senator since Ben Nighthorse Campbell retired in 2005. He's also the second Cherokee citizen elected to the Senate since 1925. Ha 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 ha! Holy shit. That's fucking funny. Oh my god.
Body, for instance, dueling with two consenting adults is still there. I was pointing out what is
Been
still
illegal for
acceptable.
170 years. There's no precedent for legal dueling. Even then, they fled the country. Do you realize that the man that beat Charles Sumner with a cane, he beat him till he was unconscious? You know why no senators intervened? Because his friend held a gun on the other senators, and he kept beating him until he crushed his skull. That's what you're insinuating is the precedent of the Senate, and that's what you live by. That is a very, very dangerous sentiment.
Nothing? Really? Nothing?
After a half a dozen victory lap
Nothing? Holy shit, dude. This guy's funny as fuck. In August 2021, during the final days of the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, Mullin and several other Americans flew to Greece and asked the U.S. Defense Department for permission to continue to Kabul, Afghanistan. Mullin planned to rent a helicopter to fly an unidentified family of U.S. citizens out of Afghanistan. Holy shit. He was like, send me in, coach. It wouldn't have gone down like that if I'd been there. This guy's not going to make it. Fucking 20 Democrats are going to vote for him. You know they will.
I think there are anger issues. I think there's a lack of contrition, both about the violence that was perpetrated on me. Really, the violent episode he was involved in the Senate committee where he's told the media, frankly, that he doesn't regret it. He's also told the media there is, he said it again today, that there's historical precedent for violence, that caning and dueling happened all the time. And I pointed out, well, it was illegal 170, 200 years ago. They would actually flee, and they would do it in areas they could find where the law didn't reach. Sometimes they would actually go to Canada. Sometimes they'd go from one state to the other. But the mass of civilized response, even in the 1850s or 1830s, was against dueling. That's why dueling was made illegal. The fact that he can't bring himself to say that, really we shouldn't settle political questions with violence, I think that would be a terrible...
I think this is a single issue for Rand Paul because he's aware of the fact that he's up there on the list of Republicans who would get beaten to death if another J6 happened. So he's like, I just want there to be, I want the federal government to contain as few people as possible who would want to have me personally killed, which makes sense. What else do we got?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Gabbard, the whole country knows that you were recently involved in an FBI operation to seize ballots in Fulton County, Georgia. Yet this was despite the fact that the warrant showed no foreign interference or nexus. Matter of fact, the warrant was based entirely on conspiracy theories that have already been examined and rejected repeatedly. Now, where is the authority for you to involve yourself in a domestic law enforcement activity?
Thank you, Vice Chairman. I appreciate the question. As you know, I've addressed every issue you've raised in detail in a letter, but I'm grateful for the opportunity to do it in this forum. As you stated, Congress provided by statute ODNI with the responsibility of election security and counterintelligence in 2021. As you also know, ODNI has purview and oversight.
I know the history very well, but could you just
I am addressing the question. ODNI also has purview and overview over two domestic related agencies, the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI, both of which have purview over election security responsibilities to ensure the integrity of our elections. I want to correct one of your statements that you've made multiple times, which is false. I did not participate in a law enforcement activity, nor would I, because that does not exist within my authorities.
You were present on the scene. Are the photos of you on the scene false?
I was at Fulton County, sir, at the request of the president, and to work with the FBI to observe this action that had long been awaited. I was not aware of what was in the warrant or was not in the warrant.
And what was the president's specific request for you to go to? What was
Gabbard hearing's a huge nothing burger, just a lot of hot air. Yeah, I think it's really funny that so obviously Gabbard participated in like this operation from the FBI was kind of like the blueprint for what the Trump administration would like to do to steal the midterms. But because Tulsi Gabbard is such a do-nothing cabinet pick and she's not really committed to this project, she doesn't sell the idea. She just like tries to disavow, which doesn't work. You need to get that public mandate. You need to get some kind of public approval.
the specific request that was made by the president for you to show up in Fulton County?
To go and observe the FBI's activities on this issue.
So why?
When you look at the your question, sir.
Do you have the answer why the president was knowing about this?
Question,
what does Tulsi care about? I don't think she even expected to win, man. She was on the Democratic ticket, remember? I don't think she, I mean, not in 2020, not 2024. I think she was just in it for the ride, and now she's like, well, I hope nobody pays attention to me.
Affidavit before it was even served?
I'm not aware that the president knew about an affidavit before it was served.
Then why was he sending you to Fulton County?
This occurred the day that the FBI had it approved, their warrant approved by a local judge, and they began to execute this. To address your question, sir, about the foreign nexus question, in order for us to better understand the vulnerabilities in our election systems that may exist today as we look to 2026, and yes, we are very focused on trying to make sure that this election is one that the American people have faith.
Director Gabbard, I've got a number of questions. Director Gabbard, I have a number of questions. Let me ask my next question, please.
You think she's going to start a podcast when this is all over? Decent chance of that, yeah. The beginning of this, I almost choked on my coffee. I was listening to some PBS videos when I was drying off after the shower, getting ready for stream. This one, I nearly choked on my fucking coffee. I could not believe it. It was insane. Just the opener on this. And this is the Gabbard still being questioned here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for being here. Before I ask you a few questions, I want to call everyone's attention again to this fundraising email signed by the president that Senator Kelly mentioned earlier, in which the President of the United States invites his campaign donors to, quote, claim your spot, join now to receive private national security briefings to his political donors, featuring a photo of the president at a dignified transfer ceremony with a flag-draped coffin of an American service member killed in action returning to their family. And the American people need to know.
Fucking incredible, man. Unbelievable. Do you think this is how you get the buy-in on the insider trading? Like every time the market shifts, there are some people that make like $5 billion off it. Do you think this is how you buy in?
That the President of the United States is fundraising for his political campaign and his PAC using images of American service members killed in action, and it's a disgrace.
First, top 100 donors get state secrets.
Now, Director Gabbard, I'd like to reground this in your core responsibilities. Under the law, you are responsible for providing national intelligence to the President, correct?
Yes.
And to the heads of executive branch departments and agencies, yes?
Yes.
And to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and senior military commanders?
Across the IC, yes.
And to the Senate and the House and relevant committees, correct?
Yes.
And the law states that the national intelligence you provide to Congress, quote, should be timely, objective, and independent of political considerations, correct?
Yes.
And you noted in your opening statement you're here fulfilling a statutory responsibility and that your testimony, quote, represents the IC's assessment of threats,
That's right.
correct? That opening statement, as submitted to the committee in advance of this hearing, stated that as a result of last summer's airstrikes.
Is that not Ossoff? Sorry, wait, I'm blocking it. Yes, that is in fact Ossoff, who might win again, given the big Dem wave. Very vulnerable senator. You can just say intel community. Yeah. There are so many gems hidden in these Senate hearings. It doesn't change anything, but it is.
I'm going to move on. Director Gabbard, you tweeted yesterday that President Trump concluded there was an imminent threat and made a decision to attack Iran after carefully reviewing all of the information before him. I think the country deserves to know what the information was. I'm going to ask a series of questions and just want a yes or no.
You're not just going to get a yes or no.
You don't need any explanation, just yes or no, starting with, were you asked, I'm not asking if you did brief this, were you asked to brief on whether Iran would close the Strait of Hormuz?
I'm not going to comment on what the president did or didn't ask me on any topic.
I'm not asking if you briefed.
This is what I mean with Tulsi. Like there's no, it's not like Pam Bondi or Kristi Noem will they get like really defensive and indignant over the stupid shit they've done. She just doesn't, she doesn't care at all. She does, to her credit, maintain low cortisol levels, which is, I assume, why she looks so good at that age. She doesn't even try to defend the project, which, again, great, I guess. I mean, I'm glad that Director of Intelligence isn't really, like, committed to the project. How old is she? I don't know, like 50? 55 or something? I don't fucking know. She's 44? Oh, never mind. I kind of insulted her a little bit there, I guess. I thought she was older. At that age, bro? Yeah, I thought she was, like, 55. There are some people, like, in their mid-50s who look that good, you know? Not her, though, I guess. Sundowning? Oh, well. Feels like she's been around for a while. I guess it's just because life since 2016 has just proceeded at such a, you know, agonizing pace. 44 is young? Yes, 44 is young. Especially in office.